Sitting on the top of the world in a coin laundry. Well, I could have been royalty, sitting in the palace like a queen. Do you have a dollar? Do you have a dollar for me? Have you got a house on the hill and a bed for three? Or do you have a story?
I was probably about 11, and I was in my garden shed out the back of our family house in Albury, where I grew up, and it was pretty basic. I think it went like, say, follow and I will follow you. Songwriting was definitely a way for me to just sit with myself and, feel how I was feeling and kind of, understand how I was feeling and what was going on. And then, make something with that. And I think I also really enjoyed that I had something to, show other, like my family or my friends, and I loved that, the depth of that interaction. I think I was probably listening to Tracy Chapman. Dad would always have that playing. My dad's Scottish, and we came over to Australia when I was about 3 or 4, from London. We had, I guess, a bit of a UK kind of influence in our childhood. Dad would take me, and sometimes the rest of my family, but mainly me because I was playing guitar quite a lot, to local folk festivals. So there's an Australian artist called Tiffany Eckhart, who's kind of like alternative folk, country folk, and I think that would have been playing a lot in our house. And there's also a Canadian folk trio called the Waylon Jennies. Their songwriting was so beautiful, and also, their voices and their musicianship was so established as well. So I think, I just loved that world. I feel like I've definitely gone back into my roots, like the traditional stuff, a lot more. And on my most recent album, I actually found an Irish pipes player in Melbourne to play some Uilleann pipes on the album. So just to kind of connect my, these new songs that kind of have a little bit more Celtic melody, and also this country, like we're in Wurundjeri country, to my homelands, which is like Isle of Arran and Scotland, and then my grandmother, and I'm sure a lot of people have Irish heritage and Scottish heritage, so I think that felt really important for me to kind of connect the two.
There are secrets in this wall of my pine.
My manager actually put me in touch with Jess, because he had worked with her in the past, and we just ended up spending a day together and just got along like a house on fire, and ended up writing this song on the same day. And it's very much about having that kind of deeper sense of connection to land and your culture, and the older ways of being that I feel like in the West are kind of, I think there's so many good things about things becoming a bit homogenized, in the sense of like the English language, for example, that we all have this language to communicate with, well, a lot of us do. I get that facilitates like so much togetherness as well, but then I think with that has come a bit of like, forgetting about the wisdom of the complexity of the different cultures as well. It's a really useful way to meet other songwriters, and even just to feel a bit more normalized in your craft, because it sometimes can be really hard to find other musicians and songwriters, especially when you're like up and coming and you're a bit young and stuff. So I did a lot of co-writing when I was 18, 19, which was really great, but I also didn't really appreciate it because I was a bit young, and I was a bit kind of like you can't tell me what to do, like I'm an artist. Whereas now, you know, I really appreciate co-writing and getting to see how someone else's mind works. For this album, I made a real effort to work with a band that I would record the album with, you know, a few years prior to actually recording it. And that meant that we had the entire arrangements and everything completely finished before we even got into the studio, which for me is a really, really big deal, because I think in the past, and there's, you know, no shame on people that love working like this, and I got a lot out of it too, but when it's just a songwriter and a producer, you kind of have no limit. So it can be really hard to actually find a world for those songs, because you can just follow each song to its nth degree. Whereas, because I was working with a bass player, Jesse Warren, and a drummer, Kishore Ryan, the three of us, you know, we would rehearse in Jesse's shed every Wednesday for a couple of years, and we played these like little secret residencies to try and, you know, kind of get our vibe together. But because we had each other, we had that limitation, and so then therefore I think there's a real continuity that I feel maybe hasn't been as much on my previous albums because of the lack of limitation, and just being able to add a horn section and like some crazy synths that don't make sense to the rest of the record, but they're really fun for that song, you know what I mean? I think I was living in London at the time, and I just wanted to create just a nostalgic EP, just of 90s and a couple of 2000s classic songs. So we had like Stopped by the Spice Girls, we had like the OC soundtrack song, The Phantom Planet, California. It totally teaches you a lot about their style of songwriting, and you know, I often think, oh wow, they're going to that chord, interesting, like I would never go to that, and so maybe next time I'm writing I might try something similar. It's so natural to just grow up, you know, busking or you know, playing other people's songs. You know, like I remember I used to play My Island Home and like Jewel songs and you know, these and Dido, like all these classic songs, and they of course absolutely get in there. I'm not a zombie. I'm not a zombie. I mean, the zombie, that definitely feels more upbeat. I think a lot of the songs on the new album are just kind of more like stories and soundscapes rather than feeling happy or sad. I mean, there's one called Dreaming Swimming that's a piano one, and it's definitely more melancholic. It's more like, you know, based in a breakup, and but then there's a song like Shears of the Earth, which is just very trancey. She's of the earth, and like when I'm writing, it is like quite a particular headspace and kind of state that I go into, and I do find it quite difficult, you know, say that if I've written a verse, like the first verse, I find it quite difficult to find, even if I go away, I find it quite difficult to find that state again. I think that's where music really helps though, like if I've already written some of the music, the music itself will help me get back into that space. So once I've kind of started writing, like once it's kind of come to me, I will really make an effort to really try and sit there for as long as I can in that session.
In that first sitting?
Totally, with my little voice recorder on my phone, my app, and just try and just keep going and just see what's there, and just, you know, do like these long 20-minute recordings, and then I'll go back and listen and kind of go, oh yeah, that was good. I don't know what that was. Oh, I like that bit. Oh, I'll do that bit again. You've had a bit of time away from it. it also has that test of, you know, what stayed with you.
Yeah.
You know, so like sometimes I won't listen to anything and I'll just see what has stayed with me.
Yeah.
In the kind of concept that, you know, doesn't always apply, but in that kind of idea of like, oh, whatever has stayed with me must feel quite, you know, meaningful or kind of strong or special about it. So I'll kind of do a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I went through a time where, you know, I'd just do lots of voice recordings, and then I, you know, maybe one day that week I might be at a cafe with my laptop and I'll like open a Word document or like some other document and just listen to them in the cafe, so I can't be doing anything else and I can't keep working on it, write down all the lyrics. And then I find that when I type them out, it almost becomes like writing poetry, because I can kind of see the story a bit more and kind of help myself to be like, oh, that's kind of, you know, that would make more sense to have that concept coming in a little bit later, and that's a bit unnecessary to say that again, and just kind of start tweaking it from like a purely lyrical point of view. I definitely find if I'm journaling more, I'll be a bit more in touch with my kind of more subconscious, you know, meanderings and feelings and wonderings. The main writing period for these songs was about 2018 to 2019, kind of, maybe a few exceptions either side. There's definitely a breakup that kind of has some of the melancholy ones have come from. And then I was studying at uni. Some of the subjects had to do with Australian Indigenous studies, so some of the history and politics. And then I was studying some, other cultural studies in music, so looking at different cultures and how their traditional music has, you know, been formed. So really like fascinating stuff. No, I think I was in like a subtle state of just survival, which I didn't even realize until afterwards. My partner wrote like a whole album, and I was just like, what? How do you? It was just all really pushed down for me. I was just like, I don't know, maybe I needed a break. I'm not sure. I just know.
Like a feeling.
Yeah. Thanks, Kate. Thank you.